It's time for
DodgerHeads.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome into DodgerHeads Live, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Medium Large Sports Network. My name is Matthew Moreno, and joining me bright and early, Blake Williams, and we are here to do, of course, a World Series roster reaction show with you guys. We want to thank everybody who is joining us on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. If you happen to miss this live and are listening via podcast, we appreciate that as well. Blake, the big news, the headlines, obviously, Edgardo Henriquez and Will Klein added on to the roster. Alex Vesia, Ben Kasparius come off the Vesia situation. We anticipated we'll get into kind of the latest update and what he's, him and his family are certainly dealing with right now. Blake, you're the perfect person, I feel like, to have on this show because I feel like you've been driving the Will Klein bus for the better part of the second half of the season.
Yeah, my prediction was Edgardo Henriquez would be the one added, but the Dodgers ended up going with both of them. So kind of a win for me there, I guess. But yeah, he looked really good at the end of the season. So I'm happy to see Will Klein on the roster. Need him to throw strikes. That's been the main issue with him. But when he's been able to keep the ball in the zone, he's looked really dominant. So I'm intrigued. I mean, he's not going to be the first man out of the bullpen or anything like that. We might not even see him the way Roberts has been managing the bullpen throughout the postseason. We've only seen like 3 or 4 relievers in total to begin with. So, yeah, it's nice to see his addition on there, though.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that Kasparius came off again. Vesia, with what the Dodgers announced yesterday, that he's with his wife because of a personal matter that they're tending to and sort of navigating. I thought certainly, the Dodgers, they're going to obviously replace him with somebody. I expected it to be a right-handed pitcher. Bruce and I last night, as we were discussing, we hinted at, Edgardo Henriquez, Will Klein probably being the most likely options, just looking at the Blue Jays lineup and their roster and things of that nature. The Kasparius move surprises me. And I know that his season, his year has certainly been interesting. He was dominant early on out of the bullpen, pitched his way into, becoming kind of a high leverage option for the Dodgers because of injuries and other inconsistent performances by other relief pitchers. Then, so the starting rotation started to get decimated by injuries again. And so they sort of moved Kasparius into a starter role. It was kind of a pseudo starter, if you will. They felt like they were using openers ahead of him. And that seemed to kind of throw his rhythm off and kind of send him off course. We had a chance to talk to him during the Dodgers workout earlier in the week, and that video is up on our Dodger Blue YouTube channel. And he mentioned, going down to Oklahoma City allowed him a chance to kind of reset, work on some things. He wasn't active for the wild card series, which was mildly surprising. Didn't get added for the NLDS, was back for the NLCS, and now off again. So what do you make kind of just the year he's had to sort of navigate?
Yeah, they've asked him to do a lot this year, essentially, which probably wasn't great for like his development and just overall season. Like you mentioned, the changing roles is always tough on a pitcher, and to end the year not with the team but in AAA working on things, that's probably a bit of a tell. I was a little surprised they added him to the NLCS and then took him off for the World Series now, just because, like, if you're going to add him for the previous round and then take him off when there's even more righties, a little surprising to me. I'm sure they have their reasons for why they did it. It's probably matchup driven, or they just saw something they didn't like in the workouts or anything like that. So, like, a little surprising, but I know they have their reason. It's not just they felt like taking Ben Kasparius off or something like that. So, yeah, I'm sure we'll hear more about it when Dave ends up talking later today, and we'll kind of get our reaction there from it.
Yeah, and even, looking as much as Kasparius was added back onto the roster for the NLCS, he didn't get into a game. And some of that obviously is a testament to the Dodgers starting rotation. Obviously, Yoshinobu Yamamoto threw a complete game. Blake Snell went 8 innings. So the only kind of real opportunities were games 3 and 4 with Glani not providing necessarily as much length as the other two. But that being said, like as you mentioned, the way Dave Roberts has sort of managed the bullpen, I mean, it seems like he's down to 2, maybe 3 trusted options. One of them was Alex Vesia, who again is away from the team for a personal matter at this point. So yes, as we're saying that, on one hand, Kasparius getting removed, considering the Blue Jays lineup, is a little surprising. On the other hand, he was just active for the NLCS, didn't get into a game at that point. I do agree with you. When I saw, the Dodgers sent out the announcement for their roster and I saw Kasparius was removed, my first thought was this probably has more to do with, digging under the hood and kind of matchups and all the quote unquote nerd stuff that I like to tease you about, that the Dodgers, I'm assuming, they prefer maybe Will Klein's velocity type thing. And, the big question with Will Klein is going to be, can he get it into the strike zone with enough frequency? He showed flashes, in his last opportunity late in the end of the season. I felt like there were certainly improvements than what we've seen from the beginning of the year. Do you think that that's something the Dodgers are basically, going to bank on at this point? Even as you mentioned, like he may not necessarily be a huge factor.
They're probably banking on that a bit. I think it's also like the other options to add were Tanner Scott, who hasn't pitched in a very long time, and we don't even know if he's fully medically cleared yet. Keeping Robleski on, which they did, adding Kasparius back on, which they didn't. So like their options overall were kind of limited. I mean, Kyle Hurt was the other guy there too. So I feel like it's more they're just betting on the stuff and upside and hoping if they can get him to throw strikes for just like 1 or 2 innings, then he's going to be a decent member of the bullpen that they can kind of rely on a little bit for covering whatever game 3, 4, 5, whatever it is going to be. But yeah, I don't expect him to play a huge role, but he'll probably get in the middle or a little closer to the end of the series. Although I'd be shocked if they use him in like a game 6 or game 7 still. So yeah, I mean, he's just kind of here to cover an inning or 2 probably if needed.
Yeah. You mentioned Tanner Scott. He remains inactive. He was with the Dodgers was he on the wild card series roster? I believe. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, but he didn't pitch.
He was then active for the NLDS up until game 4 when he was then removed from the roster. He had a medical procedure that he since, we had a chance to talk with him that same day that we spoke to Kasparius. Tanner, relayed that he was feeling healthy. He was good. He was playing catch. Sounded like he was hoping to also start facing some batters earlier this week. Dave Roberts, when he was asked the following day about Tanner Scott's outlook, he mentioned that it's not just, kind of a baseball decision, that there's also a medical component, and doctors, he alluded to needing some sort of clearance from doctors to get back active. I mean, I don't any real, surprise or significant reaction to Tanner Scott not getting put onto the World Series roster.
I would have been more surprised if he was on the roster than him not being on it right now. I kind of mentioned it when we were talking about it previously. I think it was with Scott on Thursday or whatever day it was, Wednesday, but he hasn't pitched in a major league game in essentially a month, and Tanner Scott downplayed that aspect of it, but that's something the Dodgers consider, and he wasn't very good to begin with. If he was dominant all year or even like good, they probably would have put him on, but they kind of had a good reason just to leave him off and not have to deal with that kind of explaining why he's not on the roster type thing. So worked out for them a little bit in that regard, but yeah, I'm not surprised he's not on.
And I do think too, all of that being said, if they were facing a team with, a bunch of left-handed hitters, do you think that maybe the Dodgers would have just taken their chance with Scott at that point? Like, do you think opponent had a significant factor?
Probably, but like, I don't think he wouldn't have been on for the Mariners either, because they're not very left-handed.
True.
So if you're going back to like a different team with more lefties, maybe, but you still have Dreyer, Bonda, and Robleski over him probably. So I don't know, probably over one of the righties at that point. But yeah, it's just no need for him on the roster right now. No clear matchups for him.
Yeah. Let's pause real quick because we got a super chat in from JC319. It says, "Go Dodgers from Monrovia. May the pitchers throw gas, offense hit dingers, and our defense be flawless. win for Kersh and Vesia family, and he includes the hashtag 4 more wins. Yeah, all of that sounds like a recipe for success. If the Dodgers throw really hard and hit a lot of home runs, I think that they'll probably end up winning. I did see, since we're discussing the roster, and by the way, Blake and I will set some time towards the end to answer some questions for you guys. So we're about 5-10 minutes from getting to that point. So start thinking about those if you have any. I saw comments asking about Dalton Rushing. He was not added on to the roster, so it's status quo at the catcher position with Ben Rortvedt as the backup to Will Smith. Again, Will Smith's hand is healthy, or at least healthy enough to be playing every day. Blake, any other surprises with the roster? Alex Collin, Justin Dean, Haesung Kim, all are still in on it. Anything that kind of you expected? Let me phrase it another way. Anything you would have done differently with the roster?
I don't think so. I mean, everyone on the roster serves a role right now. The only other change they could have maybe justified was adding Conforto, or Rushing, I guess, but neither of those guys hit well in the regular season, so it's not like you're going out of your way to add them as a pinch hitter that you're going to rely on. So I think everything made sense. I mean, Dave Roberts told us it was going to be just one change on the roster and ended up being two with the Vesia situation. But other than that, no, I think this is the best group they have. I know there's been a lot of question about what's Justin Dean doing, but he's just to get Teo out of the game late game and pinch run if needed. So he serves a role on this team, and that's more valuable than getting an at bat from Conforto or Rushing in one game. So I think it all makes sense there.
Boston, Blake, you're facing some allegations here. Alex says you would have started Conforto in left field.
I mean, I sent the message in the group chat today that Kike's World Series OPS is 600, so kind of pushing a little bit against the October narrative there. But yeah, maybe this is the one where he comes through.
Perhaps. The other, update, we've mentioned it a couple times. Alex Vesia, obviously, if you missed it yesterday, the Dodgers announced that Vesia was with his wife for a personal matter that they're navigating. Bruce and I sort of discussed, kind of the likelihood of Vesia not being included on the Dodgers World Series roster, and sure enough, that came to be this morning once it was set. The wrinkle, secondary kind of layer to this was there was the potential, a belief, and nothing from the Dodgers or Dave Roberts indicated this yesterday while he spoke with media, but it was possible in theory that the Dodgers would put Vesia on the family medical emergency list, which would allow him to be away from the team. It requires a player to be away from the team a minimum of 3 days. You have to return after maximum of 7. So obviously, that window would have made Vesia eligible to come back for starting as early as Game 3 of the World Series once it's here at Dodger Stadium. Jack Harris of the LA Times reported this morning that, to the best of his knowledge, and in talking, somebody, I believe I don't know if it was a source or sources close to, with knowledge of the situation, Vesia was not put on the family medical emergency list. So for all intents and purposes, that certainly appears that he is going to be with his wife and family, which is, of course, understandable at this point. I consider it unlikely, but in the event that there is, and it'll take basically an injury for Vesia to possibly come back and join the Dodgers. But again, all of that is secondary, of course, to what he and his family, obviously appears. We don't have any details, and we certainly don't want to speculate, but definitely appears that they're dealing with a challenging and a sad situation. So our thoughts are still with them. And, baseball, as much as it's the World Series, baseball is secondary for the Vesia family right now. All right, let's answer some questions here for, another 5 or 10 minutes. A little bit of a shorter show this morning. Bruce and I had our longer usual Thursday night show last night. So if you missed it, the replay is up on our Dodger Blue YouTube channel. It's also available in the podcast format. I will mention a couple things. I saw our admin responding to somebody, although the question may have been about Tanner Scott and not our Scott. But Scott is doing his Unplugged show at 12 p.m. today, since the World Series is starting, obviously. And on game days, he does it a little bit later instead of kind of this 10 a.m. slot that we're now approaching. But before that, Scott is going to appear on Blue Jays Today. And if you missed it yesterday, we had the Blue Jays Today. Adam and Nick from Blue Jays Today, I recorded with them to get a Toronto perspective of the World Series. They're doing a live stream for, I think, 4 hours today. So Scott, our plan is to have Scott join them I believe at 11:40-ish Pacific time. He'll be on for 15, 20 minutes, and then he'll come over and do Unplugged on our channel. Blake, I see you smirking. Is it you know something I don't?
No, just every time Scott says it's going to be like 15, 20 minutes, it always ends up being an hour.
Fair.
So we'll see
Fair.
how that goes.
Fair. So yes, Unplugged may run a few minutes late today, but we will have a show, and then we'll have our post-game show as well after Game 1 of the World Series with Jeff and Bruce, and then Blake is hosting post-game tomorrow with Jeff, Anthony, and I believe Daniel will be joining them as well. So as usual, we got a ton of live content for you guys. There's a bunch of press conferences scheduled for today. Dave Roberts, Andrew Friedman, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and from the Blue Jays side, we're going to hear from the manager. Their, quote, Game 2 starter, which at last check as we were beginning this show, had not been officially revealed, but I believe it's going to be Kevin Gossman. And one of the Blue Jays executives is speaking as well. I think it's their GM, or I forget what his exact title
Ross
is.
Atkins.
Yeah, I forget what his specific title is, but he's also going to be talking. And we're going to have all those videos up on our YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the perfect time to do so. All right, let's close out with, go ahead.
His title is Blue Jays Executive Vice President of Baseball Ops and GM.
There we go. Let's close out with some questions here. Hawaiian Kira says, will Benny Rose see any action? If not, would you have gone with another hitter? I mean, if the Dodgers have it their way, Ben Rortvedt is not playing in a game. But that being said, he can't come off the roster in favor of another hitter because you need a backup catcher.
Yeah, the only alternative there is Dalton Rushing, and I think they trust Rortvedt a little bit more at this point. So no real change there. That would have made sense.
Yeah. Brian wants to know, at what point does Alex Call even get a pinch hit situation? Is it for Muncy? He says, I doubt it.
Yeah, he's probably not on the roster to pinch hit. It's probably pinch run, defensive sub, maybe emergency hitter. If they end up pinch hitting earlier in the game with a lefty reliever, and then like you want Alex Call there, like maybe that's the situation, but probably not on the roster for his bat.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see. All right, we have a couple more here. Again, Blake and I, we do have another 5 to 10 minutes. So if you guys have more questions, be sure and throw them in the chat. Just do us a favor and start it with the word question in all caps, so it makes it a little bit easier for us to pick out. Let's see. Our next one is from Thomas. It says, who took Ben Kasperi's spot? He was a factor in last year's World Series. He is my favorite relief pitcher. Do they think starters will go 7 to 9 innings and would use Sasaki or 1 inning guys? Thomas, I'm going to pull the question down just because it kind of covers our face a little bit. So if you missed it, Edgardo Henriquez and Will Klein were added on to the Dodgers roster for the World Series. Ben Kasperius came off along with Alex Vesia. So I guess there's not necessarily a clear answer over whether it was Henriquez or Klein that specifically replaced Kasperius, but those two guys were certainly part of the equation. Don't want to completely repeat what we said. You could, I'll just direct you, Thomas, to rewind the show once we're done here. Go back, closer to the beginning where we sort of dug into the reasoning behind Kasperius potentially coming off. I think the Dodgers, yes, are counting on getting length from their starters, and Roki Sasaki is going to certainly be used as one of the options. And I think at this point, Anthony Banda is probably another name I'm assuming is up there. Blake Trinan, I think, will continue to get opportunities short of if he, struggles type thing. And even then, I mean, the Dodgers, Blake, if you needed to assemble your list of trustworthy relief pitchers right now, what is that? How many are on there, and what's the ranking? What's the order?
Roki, Banda, Sheehan.
Yeah, Sheehan.
Probably it for trusted guys. And then next tier, Trinan, Dreyer, Klein, I guess, just out of default here. But to answer the other question, Edgardo replaced him just because that means I was right on my roster prediction from earlier in the week. So let's go with that one.
There you go. The unofficial answer there. Shota wants to know, if Yankees were a tougher matchup, why do people expect the series going to 6 games? Is it the difference in home field advantage? Were the Dodgers better last year. The Dodgers were not better last year. If as much as they won the World Series, they didn't even have a starting rotation. They had a couple starters, and things were being held together by duct tape. Shohei Ohtani is also healthy now, whereas last year he injured his shoulder. I believe it was game 2 of the World Series on that slide into second base. I think I don't. Do you? We got Bruce and I got this question last night. Do you view the Blue Jays, this year's Blue Jays team, or last year's Yankees as being, which one is the tougher opponent?
I think the Blue Jays are better. I think they don't have the defensive mistakes that the Yankees had. I know the Dodgers talked about it a lot, like the Yankees were a team that were beating themselves, and they kind of won out based on the talent because the American League was not very good last year. This year's Blue Jays team has not beat themselves, and they've been like a really scrappy team. They don't strike out a lot, and they slug a lot, which is a scary combo for an offense. And I think that's why I think they're better. Their pitching is fine. It's not amazing, but neither was the Yankees outside of like Garrett Cole and maybe one other guy. But yeah, I think the Blue Jays are a much tougher opponent than the Yankees were last year.
Okay. Norm wants to know which player must absolutely come through at the plate besides Ohtani.
I think Freddie needs to get it going. He hasn't done a whole lot. He's had some situations here and there where he's come through, but other than that, he's been pretty quiet for Freddie standards. So I'm going with Freddie.
RC's asking, can Vesia return at any point? RC, if you do me a favor, once we're done, you can rewind the show a little bit. We did a quick update on Alex Vesia. Basically, Jack Harris, the LA Times, reported that Vesia was not placed on the family emergency list, which would suggest that he is not going to be eligible to return, or that he's going to be eligible to pitch during the World Series, short of, maybe there's an injury and Vesia feels comfortable basically coming back from, the family situation that he's dealing with. Let's see what else we have here. Miguel wants to know, why isn't Dalton Rushing on the roster?
They like Ben Rortvedt more at this point, and they're not going to carry 3 catchers given their current roster.
Yeah. Let's see. Lucy wants to know, do you think our offense will wake up in this series? Who can be the difference maker in this lineup? She says Muncy. I do think that we'll see a better performance from the Dodgers. I think they're due for kind of 1 or 2. And I know that's probably language that Blake hates. I believe my eye test tells me they're due for 1 breakout game type thing. I think in general, also it'll help that they're not going to be facing a bunch of top tier, kind of left-handed pitchers, be it starters from the Phillies or relievers from the Brewers. But Blake, what's your level of confidence in the Dodgers offense?
Like a 6 to 7, I'd say, for level of confidence. Do I think they'll wake up? I mean, I hope so. I can't really predict that. I would have guessed in 2023 that they'd run over the Diamondbacks, and they had like 5 runs maybe in that entire series. So yeah, I hope so. It's a matchup they should be able to score runs off of, but it's baseball.
Sandy is confused by us starting early today. Sandy, this is just a special additional bonus episode that you guys are getting from Blake and I, since a new series is starting. So we wanted to discuss the roster. As I mentioned, Scott is doing his Unplugged show today at or around 12 p.m. Before that, at about 11:40, he's going to be on with the Blue Jays Today guys over on their YouTube channel. I think the plan there is for 15, 20, 25 minutes, and then Scott will come over and do his usual Unplugged show. His internet is back. Scott is happy to report that. And I saw people were claiming that he was lying about that. We can tell you that he wasn't. His internet genuinely was down.
I can confirm Scott was not lying, because we were in a game when his internet dropped out and he just disappeared from us. Totally left the squad. Just
unacceptable.
Yep.
Bianca wants to know, do you believe they saw some significant changes from Henriquez justifying him being on the roster, or is it simply getting another righty on there? I mean, I think maybe a little bit of both, probably more so of just right-handed rather than seeing something specific.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about it from the sense he replaced Kasparius, it's not like the righty aspect of things. So I think they just felt more comfortable with him, or they saw something they didn't like, or there was some data backing behind it. I don't know what the reason is. Like I said, we'll probably hear an answer from Dave on that, but it's not something where they just were like, we're going to take Ben Kasperius off now. They have their reasons for doing things, and usually they're fairly justified.
Yeah. Like Sandy wants to know what game you guys were playing.
Battlefield.
Should have been playing Halo.
Yeah.
NS says Scott get the new Wi-Fi password from his neighbors? So can't confirm if that's the case or if he signed up for Elon's Starlink. We're gonna have to check with Scott.
Scott's a big Starlink guy, huge Elon Musk fan. So yeah, Scott can't say anything because he's not on the show.
No, he can't. Just take our word for it. Signs stealing scandal says, does Big Bill Klein get at least one out in leverage this series? So Blake, do you see your guy getting a big out at some point?
I hope so, because I could push some narratives and be like he should have been on the roster the entire time, but I doubt Dave will do that. He tends to stick with his guys in the postseason, and Klein is not on his high leverage trust tree, so I'd be a little shocked.
All right, a few more here, and a couple of them are off topic. So I am preparing you, although I haven't seen Manuel in here, so maybe we should save the food ones. I haven't seen, actually, he wasn't with us last night either. Hopefully he's not upset that we haven't done too much food talk, I feel like, recently. JC wants to know favorite bobblehead that we own.
I have a custom Corey Seager one where he's Boba Fett and it's signed, so probably my favorite.
Yeah, I feel like we get asked this question a lot. I'm going to turn around really quick to look at. I don't really know. I don't know if I necessarily have a favorite. They're all my favorite. I'll leave it at that.
That's a weak answer. We need a better one.
I'll have to think. I genuinely don't know, because I do like, I've said this before, I like the bobbleheads that are a little bit more unique. So the Caleb Williams one, I mean, I am also a USC fan, so the Caleb Williams one I thought was kind of cool. The Kobe one is obviously, it's definitely up there. I got Oral Hershiser to sign one of his bobbleheads that they gave out, so that one's cool to have. Justin Turner he autographed one for me as well. Let's see, I'm looking through my screen now, so I don't turn around completely. Yeah, I don't know. There's Foco sent us a Kirk Gibson and Freddie Freeman kind of combo walk-off one. That's I think nice for nostalgic type thing. But yeah,
I do have the Foco Gunnar Henderson and Shohei Ohtani dual one, which
that's right.
Completely random, but like Gunnar Henderson, so that one's cool.
Here's another question from NS. Opinion on Ty France and Bo Bichette being added onto the Blue Jays roster?
Not surprising. The Dodgers have a lot of lefties, so they're going to carry the extra righty bat with Ty France, I guess. And Bo Bichette's been trending that way. Hopefully he is a little rusty for the Dodgers' sake, but yeah, he's a good player.
I also, with Bo, I don't know how healthy he is, and Bruce and I got we discussed this last night. Comments from Bo Bichette last night when he was asked during World Series Media Day, how is he feeling? How's the knee? He said it's okay, good enough type thing. So I think there are, it's the World Series, so credit to him for pushing through. But yeah, I think there's reason to sort of doubt maybe how healthy he is.
I mean, the least healthy guy on the Dodgers last year was the World Series MVP. So
true. Fair enough. Jack says, if the Dodgers win the World Series, who is the true MVP? Who would be the true MVP among fans? I think
it's just saying who's the postseason MVP is how I was interpreting it. Kind of thing.
I'd probably go with one of the starting pitchers depending on what we see this series.
I was thinking about this last night, which is why I was happy this question came up. Is it a hot take to say Roki Sasaki is the MVP of the postseason in general? Because
not at all.
Going into this postseason, the bullpen was a complete mess, and it was, how are they going to get outs after the starting pitchers come out of the game? And Roki just completely changed the outlook of this team. I don't think they'd be here without him. I mean, all the starters have been great, but even if you remove one of them, they probably still win each series that they've won so far. I don't think they win the NLDS without Roki. They might not win the CS without him. I think he is the MVP of this team so far.
Yeah, that's a great call. I agree with that. Not a hot take at all. All right, let's see. We have a couple more, and then I see some food ones here. Our guy Scott wants to know, 2 relief pitchers that can adequately take over the fireman role Vesia has handled each series so far. Convince me on other options aside from Treinen. I think Emmett Sheehan is one of these guys.
Probably. Although Dave didn't use him, so
Yeah.
we'll see.
Um,
I mean, the answer, Will Klein, he's right there. Gonna keep pushing it.
Blake has found his narrative for the World Series.
I don't think Dave is gonna do that. If Will Klein gets into a fireman role in the World Series, we will have to see what happened to the real Dave at that point. But I think Bonda would be like the fireman if there's some lefties coming up, and probably Sheehan would be the righty in that sense. I don't really see anyone else kind of taking that role. I don't think Dave would have trust in anyone else.
I mean, you don't think maybe they go Robleski potentially? I mean, I know that he's also kind of your length guy, but Kershaw's around to give you multiple innings too if you need that.
If there was more lefties, I would say maybe, but like Robleski didn't pitch at all. I think Dreyer would probably be ahead of him too.
That's true.
The Blue Jays are just so right-handed, and the Dodgers are kind of weak on the right side of their bullpen. It makes it difficult to answer this one. So, yeah, I mean, I think we're going to see a lot of Trinan.
The fireman will be Tyler Glasnow in game one because it's his side day, and so he's throwing it in game one instead of an actual bullpen session.
Makes sense. They should do it again.
All right, let's see what else we have here. Another one from Sandy says, after all is said and done, is Philly the team we'll recall when we talk about the toughest matchups the Dodgers faced in the postseason?
I think they'll have the toughest pitching, but the Blue Jays offense is very, very good. So kind of depends. I have tend to lean toward offense being more important in the playoffs. Seems like the team with the better offense is usually the one that prevails. But yeah, I mean, the Dodgers also have the historic pitching right now. So they're such an outlier. It kind of changes that for me in terms of the offense pitching debate here. I think the Blue Jays are better, but it's pretty close. They're both really good teams.
My take is I don't know. Like I feel like it sort of gets mentioned a little bit last year with this was the narrative with the NLDS against the Padres. But for the most part, all people really like talk about now at this point is that the Dodgers won the World Series last year and they can go back to back. Like it's not like, oh, do you remember when they beat the Padres and then that was basically the World Series? Like it's sort of in the moment we remember it, and that year specifically, perhaps. But then as you quickly move on, look at not even a year later, my personal belief is that stuff like that sort of gets lost in the shuffle anyway. So ultimately, doesn't really matter that much. All right, we have a couple food ones we're going to go out with, and they both involve is it poutine? Poutine? I forget how you pronounce.
Poutine, I think, but
okay,
we can. You should have asked Blue Jays today, guys.
Yeah, that's true. They did say it on there actually, and I remembered. Oh, that's how I think it's poutine. Poutine? No, poutine. I don't know. Anyway, that's or chili fries. Did we get? Yeah, poutine. There we go. And then Greg's asking poutine or animal fries. So I am not taking poutine in any scenario.
Do you just not like the gravy? Because I'm surprised you're not intrigued by them.
Yeah, it just doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't sound appealing to me at all.
I mean, they're covered in cheese curds, and I don't know. I think chili fries, they have such a big margin for error. Like you can have really bad ones or amazing ones that could
that is true.
Put them at the top of the list or at the bottom. So I'm gonna put them in the middle. I don't know. This one's tough if I'm ranking them. I don't know. The concept, I haven't had authentic poutine, but it sounds very intriguing to me. I'm gonna put them 2. I'm gonna put the chili fries 3 and animal fries 1.
Like, how could you do that when I turned you on to the great chili cheese fries from the hat?
I mean, just because there's such a margin for error there. If they're very good, they could skyrocket to the top of the list. I don't know. I like fries in kind of any form, so it's tough to rank them.
FR is saying no food talk. I think we found Manuel's burner for today. Aaron liked your opinion. Boston Blake. Let's see. We did have Dong wants to know about.
Yeah. What?
So I think what these are, I did see. I think they're basically Lay's that are ketchup flavored, if I'm not mistaken.
I will pass on that.
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't sound appealing to me either. Here. So if you like crispy fries with ketchup, you may like ketchup. Oh, you could try them. Blake, go to your local Trader Joe's and get yourself a bag. You already did the squid. It can't be any worse than that.
I mean, I probably can be. I don't think the concept of eating like ketchup flavored items is appealing to me. I don't know. Ketchup is lower on my list of condiments that I'd go for. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not a huge ketchup guy. I will use it, but I'm not my favorite. Augustine is saying garlic fries, please. Augustine, if you're in a show with Anthony, make sure to bring this up. He loves garlic fries as well, so he'll be happy to agree with you. It seems we've gone full French fry discussion here. Hawaiian Kier wants to know skinny fries, thick fries, or potato wedges.
Potato wedges, I think, are last. I feel like they're never cooked properly. I like skinny fries more than the thicker fries. I mean, seasoned curly fries type stuff are always going to be at the top. I know that wasn't on there, but giving a shout out to them. And I'm a big sweet potato fry person.
I like potato wedges. I do agree with you that sometimes they're undercooked and that impacts, how good they are. My hot take, you felt like you asked if your Roki Sasaki opinion was a hot take. I don't think it is. Mine is that I think curly fries are extremely overrated, and I am not a fan of them at all.
It's a huge, awful take. We should end the show there just so people don't have to hear anything else from you. But yeah, terrible take.
Mojo's, I remember Jeff is not familiar with Mojo's from Shakey's. Are you?
Yeah.
Okay. You like them?
Yeah, they're fine.
I think they're really good. These, similar to potato wedges, if they're undercooked, then it impacts how good they are. All right.
No one's asked about tater tots though.
I do not like tater. So that was going if I don't like tater tots either. Tater tots, and as much as I love cheese, I'm not a huge cheese curds fan.
I'm surprised by that.
Yeah.
But so at the Oinkster, it's right by Dodger Stadium over there, if anyone's heard of it, they have like these garlic Parmesan tater tots that are amazing. But outside of that, I'm not huge on tater tots. I like normal fries more.
Let's close out with this one. Can we agree on this? Waffle fries are amazing.
They're good, but I think they're overrated in the sense that people always put them number one, where I'd put curly fries number one.
Well, curly fries at number one. If waffle fries aren't number one, that's fine. But if you're putting curly fries ahead of them, then you're doing something wrong, Blake. But all right, we're going to end it there before we go full on French fry discussion for another 15 to 20 minutes, which maybe some people want. I don't know if I think at some point it might get a little old on everybody. A big thank you for joining us for this roster breakdown. If you missed it, the news is Edgardo Henriquez and Will Klein added on to the World Series roster. Alex Vesia and Ben Kasparius were removed. So that's where things stand. The rest of the roster is unchanged from the NLCS. As a reminder, Scott will be back on here at or around 12 p.m. Pacific for his Unplugged show. Before that, though, go check out Blue Jays Today. I recorded a preview show with them yesterday. They're doing their live stream today. They're going to have Scott on at about 11:40 a.m. Again, as Blake joked, the plan is for that to be 15 or 20 minutes, but with the way Scott gets going sometimes, who knows how long that'll last. So maybe Unplugged starts up around 12:15 perhaps, but we still have that. We still have our post-game show planned after every World Series game. Tonight it'll be Jeff and Bruce. Tomorrow for game 2, it'll be Blake, Anthony, and I believe Daniel as well. So as a reminder, if you haven't subscribed yet to the Dodger Blue YouTube channel, now is the perfect time to do so. Ring the notification bell to make sure that you can join us for all our live shows and you get notified when we put up different interviews and press conference videos as well. And if you're on podcast, Apple, Google, Spotify, you can find us there as well. Keep reading DodgerBlue.com. And we also have our app where all of our content can be found in one spot. So thank you. And as a reminder, we will see you guys in a little over an hour, maybe let's call it about 2 hours from now. And then we'll see you later tonight. That's Blake. I'm Matthew. And we will talk to you guys later.